All right, guys, we're gonna get rocking and rolling here. Look at the headlines on screen. Look at the headlines on screen, and we'll get started here on the Monday edition of the I Love CVille show. A lot we're going to cover on today's program. We'll continue the discussion from last week. Is Charlottesville, since the COVID pandemic, now a 65-hour work week area or region? We talked about this on Friday. It resonated with a lot of people. We'll weave Judah Wickower into the mix on this in a friendly and respectful discussion. Is the Charlottesville and Central Virginia area, due to affordability issues, now a 65-hour work week region? We'll talk about that. We'll also highlight a rental that's getting a lot of traction on social media. 1140 Penn Park Lane is for rent right now at $4,450 per month. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, less than 1,800 square feet. This is not a new house. It's available now. The home sold in October of last year for $365,000, obviously to investors, right? If it's sold in October, and now the investors immediately put it back on the market for essentially $4,500 a month. Judah is, can I say, you're taken aback by this? Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked into the the rental cost for houses, but $4,500 sounds like a lot for a 3-bedroom.
$1,500 a bedroom. We'll talk about that on the show. We'll get Judah's take and my take on today's program. Tomorrow, City Council will name a new counselor for Sena McGill's spot. I had a fantastic discussion with Sena's husband, Tyler, on Twitter yesterday. Tyler McGill, he thoroughly entertained me yesterday on Twitter. Check that out, guys, on the Twitter sphere. We will talk on today's show Ann Malik running for a 5th term, Judah. A 5th term for Ann Malik. A 5th term. Lepisto currently running for a 2nd term. Angelique's closed in Dairy Market, and a shooting right outside Dairy Market. Ay mi madre. And finally, the Amazon CEO is telling employees they have to come back to work. CEO of Amazon, one of the most powerful companies in the world, telling employees they have to come back to work. All those topics and more. Give the show a like and a share anywhere you are watching. Judah, I need T-minus 10 seconds here to get cracking. And I'm in your hands. Actually, Judah, we can rock and roll when you're ready, my friend.
Quiet on the set.
That's good. Good Monday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille show. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille network. The show is legitimately live on every social media platform known to mankind. You, the viewer and listener, can help shape the discussion by offering your thoughts and perspective live in the comments section, and I will relay that perspective live on air. The show today is presented by The Clifton. The Clifton in Keswick is a fantastic place for happy hour, for dinner, for date night, for weddings, for events, for a spend-the-nighter or a staycation. The Clifton in Keswick, making memories happen every single day of the week. Look at the headlines on screen. Here's what we're going to talk about today on the program. We will talk Charlottesville and the Central Virginia region. Are we now in a 65-hour work week region? Has affordability become such an issue that it's a 65-hour work week region just to survive? A perfect segue to that is the rental listing on Penn Park Lane, 1140 Penn Park Lane. Put it in your search function. Check it out on Google. Pull out your phone. 1140 Penn Park Lane. Look at the pictures. Judah will show some of them on screen. The rental price, $4,450 a month is the ask. This house sold in October of last year. So it literally sold on the 17th of October. So that's November, December, January. 4 months ago, this house sold for $365,000. The investor who purchased this property is asking $4,450 a month rent. We'll show some photos if you can grab some pictures when we're ready, Judah. Oh, you already put them on screen. Nicely done.
Got the
Look at the screen. Here's the front.
front.
If you want to pull some of the interior photos, I'm happy to show it to them as well. Judah Wickhauer and I will banter back and forth on a standalone brick rancher with a rental asking price of basically $4,500 a month or $1,500 a bedroom. I'm going to ask you this question. Is $1,500 per bedroom per month now market rent for Charlottesville, Virginia? We'll talk about that on today's show. We'll talk about the city council tomorrow is going to fill Sina McGill's seat. Sina McGill resigned from council citing personal reasons. Tomorrow, Brian Pinkston, Lloyd Snook, Juan Diego Wade, and Michael Payne will select Sina McGill's replacement. The scuttlebutt has Kathy Galvin and Kristen Zakos as the front runners because of their institutional memory. In fact, I think it should be Kathy Galvin because of her architectural background as the city is navigating upzoning right now. So anyone with any kind of architectural or housing background is going to have a lot of value proposition to offer current council and us as taxpayers. Also on today's show, we'll talk Ann Malik running for re-election. This is her 5th term she's pursuing. The terms are 4-year terms. So if Ann Malik gets elected to a 5th term, and right now she's running unopposed, so the odds are looking pretty good. If she gets elected to a 5th term, Ann Malik will legitimately have held the Whitehall seat when the 5th term is over for 20 years, Judah Wickhauer. 20 years, one person representing one district in Albemarle County. What is your take on that? Bela Pisto-Kirtley is running for re-election. This would be her 2nd term. Angelique's in Dairy Market is now closed. I got that confirmed over the weekend by multiple members who work at Dairy Market. They said Angelique's is closed. I've also heard through the grapevine that others are on the brink of closing. And there was a shooting outside Dairy Market on Saturday night on 10th Street. And the last topic we'll cover on today's show is the CEO of Amazon is telling employees, get your butts back to work. We have arguably one of the most powerful companies in the world in Amazon, and its top executive is telling team members, you are mandated to go back to work starting on May 1. We'll talk about that on today's show. Let's welcome Judah Wickhauer to the program, the jack of all wits, an all-around A-plus guy, someone who's counted upon in this community for his consistent voice of reason, his level-headedness. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right. How
Anything cool this weekend you do? Any enjoyable meals you had? Anything that tickled your fancy from the weekend that you'd like to relay to your fans and the viewers and listeners of this fine and fair talk show?
Well, I had Fabio's Pizza, and I gotta say that their deluxe pizza is probably one of the best I've had in town.
Oh, wow. What's on the deluxe pizza at Fabio's? Was this Fabio's on High Street?
Yeah.
We've been talking High Street a lot lately, have we not?
Yeah.
Tell us about the deluxe pizza on High Street.
I mean, it's loaded. It's got pretty much everything. It's got pepperoni, sausage, green peppers.
Ooh, making me hungry.
What else has it got? Onions. I'd have to take a look at the menu, but I get mine without the mushrooms. Other than that, everything else is great, and the pizza is always delicious.
Nice. Very good take right there. Tracy Lee Shiflett says hello to everyone. KTP, the Queen of Whitehall, says that's way too much time for one person to hold the same seat. Interestingly, Katie Pearl lives in the Whitehall district, so her Albemarle County representative on the Board of Supervisors is Ann Malik. I responded to KTP and said I agreed. 5 terms for one person is entirely too long. Now it's up to the market and other people to challenge Malik. So, you know, she has run, for example, this term, she's running for election, she's running unopposed. So it's hard for us, I agree with Katie that 5 terms is way too long. But for someone to beat Malik, we need opposition to Malik.
Is there not a benefit to the institutional knowledge that goes on that long, or does it become is it the need for new blood and new what's the word I'm looking
Perspective, fresh outlook?
for? Yeah.
You know, that's a great question. That's a very good question. Because we say often on the show that city council and local government lacks the institutional memory to follow things through. West Main Streetscape is a perfect example, right? Biscuit Run. What the hell's happening with Biscuit Run? Are we going to ever see anything materialize with a park on the urban ring that is massive, right? Those are 2 examples. But when does institutional memory become a perspective monopoly?
Yeah.
When does institutional memory morph into a one person essentially controlling a district and the purse strings to what is now a $500+ million yearly budget? Other question I have for you is this. And Malik, a lot of respect for Supervisor Malik. I'm not knocking Supervisor Malik. We're just talking out loud here. Supervisor Malik, I would imagine, is darn near close to 70 years old. Let's take a look, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Civilpedia. I'm on Civilpedia right now, and I'm trying to get a feel for her age. She turned 73 in April. So when her term is up, she'll be 77, 78.
Yeah.
Here's the question I have for you. Is a 77, 78-year-old indicative of the voting population and the taxpayer base in Albemarle County?
It's a good question. Probably the same question that we should be asking of all of our elected officials across the spectrum. I mean, if you take a look at our House and Senate, I think we run into the same thing we're seeing here.
Warrior AG on Twitter said, term limits should be on every political level. It's the only way to keep fresh ideas and fresh voices for the masses. I'm responding to Warrior AG. I mention this live on air.
And I tend to agree.
I agree. Agreed. I agree. I mean, it's such a fine line, term limits. Where's that line drawn? Is it after the 2nd term? Is it after the 3rd term?
I think 2nd term is what most people point at as a good place to take a break.
What do you think, viewers and listeners? Katie Pearl, Bill McChesney, what do you think? Tracy Lee Shiflett, what do you think? Johnny Ornalis, what do you think? Viewers and listeners of this fine and fair talk show, like Diego Anderson, what do you think? I see folks in Short Pump and Richmond and Crozet and downtown Charlottesville on our heat map. Comments coming in fast and furious on the chain, literally as we speak. Folks like our discussion from yesterday, or on Friday, the 65-hour work week. Scott Airworth in Virginia Beach says, good call on Fabio's. He likes that place, Judah.
Yeah.
Why don't we dot the I's and cross the T's or continue the conversation from Friday? And it's a perfect segue into the Penn Park listing. I mean, Penn Park listing is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's under 1,800 square feet. You want to put some of the photos on screen?
Yeah. And looking through the photos, I mean, this place looks good. I'm a little surprised considering what I saw of the picture of the outside that we've got.
1140 Penn Park. For rent right now after being purchased on the 17th of October. It was purchased on the 17th of October for $365,000. They're asking $4,450 per month in rent, essentially $1,500 a room. You can tell that the investor who purchased this property put some TLC into the property.
No doubt.
The flooring looks new. It clearly got a fresh coat of paint. The kitchen is beautiful. As Judah said, the outside of the home is not indicative of what the inside looks like.
Yeah, not even. I mean, they're not even in the same neighborhood.
Right. Props to the
Pun
investor.
intended.
Props to the investor
Yeah, no
for
doubt.
rehabilitating the home. What do you make of a $1,500 per bedroom per month asking rent? Is that market right now, Judah?
I mean, I really don't have a good. Really have a good model to put it against for what this place is worth. I mean, it looks nice. If it comes with all the furniture, I mean, I'd say it might almost be. It might even be worth it.
Wow.
I mean,
I wasn't expecting that take from you.
Well, look at the couch. Look at the beds. I mean, if you had to, if they took everything out, I'd say, heck no. There's no way. But with all the stuff that I'm seeing in here, I mean, this place looks beautiful inside.
I was having a Twitter exchange with Planning Commissioner Rory Stolzenberg on this topic, and I highlighted 600 West Main Street, which is one of the new apartment buildings on West Main. It's the one that is right over where Blue Moon Diner is. And 600 West Main Street, where the new building right over Blue Moon Diner, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That has a monthly ask for studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom apartments of over $1,500 a month. On Twitter, a gentleman by the name of Keith Williams said, deluxe downtown condos with pools, gyms, and parking do not set the market rate for rent in and around Charlottesville. What do you make on that topic?
Say it again. They don't set the rate?
I mean, I basically said what you did. This Penn Park listing, 1140 Penn Park, the investor is asking $4,450 per month rent.
Yeah.
That's $1,500 a bedroom. And I said on Twitter that $1,500 a bedroom for a lot of property in Charlottesville is the going rate. And
Yeah.
then I highlighted the rental ask for the building that's above and around Blue Moon Diner. And I said they're asking more than $1,500 per month per bedroom. Here's an example of this being the rate. And I got a couple of folks on Twitter that said downtown new apartments are not what sets rental rates in and around Charlottesville. I disagreed with them. I utilized Penn Park and the apartments on West Main as my justifiers for monthly rent. A perfect segue into the 65-hour work week. If you're spending $1,500 a month to rent a bedroom in and around Charlottesville, Virginia, has this marketplace evolved into a 65-hour work week community just to survive, just to get ahead? Anywhere you want to go on these topics, Judah, let's focus on this.
I mean, is that really evolution?
You can go anywhere you want.
I mean, I don't really know where to go with it besides saying that you're going to push a lot of people out.
Maybe that's why we're in a 65-hour work week community now.
Okay, well, that's, I'm sorry to hear that.
I'd love to spend more time with family and we're doing hobbies and hanging out with friends as well. I mean, I hate to say this, but maybe evolve is not the right word, because you're saying if we're evolving into a 65-hour work week, is that evolution really good? That's basically what you're alluding to?
I think that's exactly what I'm alluding to. Is that
How
really
would we better describe it instead of evolution? Has this morphed into?
I mean,
Are we forced into it?
we talk a lot about gentrification. I mean, once and you also talked about whether or not these rental prices are pricing the market. So when if the market inevitably follows these prices, and that causes home valuations to go up, and that causes assessments to go up, and I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that can't afford to live here.
That's what I'm saying.
Even if it's just based on the assessments, and then you're talking about people like like this investor who picked up this house. Kudos, made it look beautiful inside. But one person leaves, an investor buys their house and fixes it up and ups the price, and I'm scared to see where it goes and where it eventually ends.
I mean, I think undoubtedly we're in a market where 65 is becoming the norm. We asked on our morning show, Real Talk with Keith Smith, how many hours you work a week. Keith said 80 hours a week.
Yeah, but realtors aren't normal people.
Maggie and Joseph said they work every day, literally. Maggie was talking about negotiating deals while delivering a baby in the hospital. Literally, she said that. I'm not a realtor and I work those kind of hours.
You're a business owner.
I mean, I'm trying to empathize. But as you've indicated, you have property owners that are asking $4,500 a month in rent. After we talk about 1140 Penn Park Lane on this talk show, on every social media app known to mankind, we are contributing to setting the rent in Charlottesville. Because this listing is going to get a boatload of attention after people listen and watch to this show. The views on Zillow are going to skyrocket and go through the roof. And the likelihood of this renting with the additional attention is probably pretty significant.
Okay.
If homes like this rent for $4,500 a month, others will follow. We're in agreement there, right?
That sounds reasonable.
That sounds reasonable. So if the rent for Charlottesville area real estate is $1,500 a month per bedroom per month, you have roommates and you're spending $18,000 a year. $18,000 a year for roommates is a nice chunk of change. If you want your rent to be, ideally you want it to be less than a third of your total take-home pay, right? That means someone at that $18,000 clip is earning $55,000. The likelihood is someone renting this at $1,500 a month is going to be working more than 40 hours a week. I'll say it again, viewers and listeners. You may not want to hear this, but Charlottesville and Albemarle County in particular, those two jurisdictions, are literally turning into a 65-hour work week if you want to survive and get ahead. You say that's sad.
Yeah.
Break it down. Because there's more to it than work.
What's that?
There's more to it than work, life.
Yeah, if I get priced out of this market, I'm leaving. I'm not.
Oh, you're not priced out of this market because you bought something. You fixed your overhead.
And even then, it's rough.
Could you imagine if you didn't do that?
With assessments, I know I wouldn't still be here.
Yeah.
I'd have moved on. But yeah, I think it's a shame, and I think that I think that we're going to continue seeing problems on the downtown mall and other places because people just the types of jobs that are in strong need right now are the kinds of jobs that where people are, I think, saying, look, it's just not worth it. I'm not gonna keep going further and further from where I work to find a place to live and then come in here and make minimum wage. And it just doesn't sound like a
Good quality of life.
doesn't sound like good business sense.
I was having this conversation on Sunday morning with some buddies. And on Sunday morning, we were talking about if things continue to escalate price-wise like they're doing, how we see, say, the service industry or restaurants evolving. And I made this statement. And I think I also said this on Friday on the talk show. Staffing for food and beverage businesses has gotten so difficult.
Yeah.
And will become even more difficult as the hotel and conference center UVA opens, as the Data Science School opens, as the Paul Manning Biotech Institute opens, and if we get this regional tech hub, the $300 to $500 million investment. And what I said on Sunday morning, the food industry, the restaurant, food and beverage businesses are going to see significant attrition. So what we will end up seeing, and you make a good point, how do you staff it if they can't afford to live here? We're going to see less of them. Food and beverage businesses, restaurants, coffee shops, bars, we'll see less of them. They will be less saturated. And the team members that are working and the ones that do survive will make more money.
You really think that?
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, one of the best draws of this community that we all love is the depth in restaurants and bars and coffee shops. We all love the locally owned restaurants.
Yeah.
It's a foodie town. But if they don't have team members to work, they're going to close down.
Yeah.
And the ones that survive are going to be able to aggregate all the A players, the top talent, front of the house and back of the house talent, and they're going to be able to pay them more money because there'll be less competition and the service will be better. Alternatively, what could happen is, and one of the guys I was playing squash with made this comment on Sunday morning, the food service business is going to essentially become nothing but robots. My friend Dean made that comment. It'll be nothing but robots staffing these businesses. Now, I think the robots as staff is the future for like a chain, like a McDonald's, or like a Panera, or like a Chipotle. We're seeing all three of them head into the automated staffing world.
Yeah.
I just don't think the locally owned business has the capital resources to go automated with staffing, at least not yet.
Yeah.
So if we don't figure out the affordability, you have less restaurants and you have the staff that wants to stay in this line of work working at those restaurants making more money and the service picks up. The downfall for us is, this is one of our favorite things about the community. It's the restaurants, right? I mean, what's your take on all this? I also heard from a ton of people that listened to Friday's show that were in food and beverage, that worked in food and beverage, and they said they were easily clocking 65 hours a week, working at multiple restaurants, sometimes working doubles on back-to-back days. So they said that it's easily a 65-hour work week if you're in the food and beverage business and if you want to survive. Your thoughts on all this? Jump in here anywhere you want to go, Judah Wickower.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. We'll lose some of the businesses. We've already lost some, and with any luck, the businesses that survive and are left over will start getting more business, and they'll, we would hope, make enough money to survive, and
do you think,
and hopefully pay their people, a better wage.
do you think Charlottesvillians want the regional tech hub to manifest in this area? And John Blair, I'll get to your comment here in a matter of moments. It's a good one. Todd Rath, I'll get to your comments in a matter of moment, the owner of Blue Toad Hard Cider. Do you think Charlottesville, the old guard, the OG of Charlottesville and Central Virginia, wants a $300 to $500 million regional technology hub funded by the federal government? Or do you think the old guard of Charlottesville and Central Virginia says, good Lord, we don't want this. This is just going to expedite us not being able to afford this and have thousands of people come to this market to compete for the little real estate that's already out there?
I don't know if the old guard thinks that much as a block, but I would tend to think that a lot of people are probably leery about what this is going to do to the community.
Todd Rath, owner of Blue Toad Hard Cider, says even Devil's Backbone is cutting out service. I mean, is the future of the restaurant a locally owned one, right? Where you don't have the deep financial pockets of, say, a Panera or, say, a McDonald's or a Chipotle. McDonald's, Panera, and Chipotle are automated. You go to the McDonald's on Pantops, my kid loves the sausage biscuit. Oftentimes, that McDonald's has legitimately two people working in it.
Yeah.
You're ordering through a kiosk, you're ordering through an app on your phone, you're picking up the food from a window. I mean, legitimately has two people working in a restaurant. You don't see people dining in the restaurant anymore, they're getting the food to go. Is the future for the locally owned business no front of the house staff? You order out a window and you pick up at a window? I mean, like, take Moe's on Ivy Road. We helped broker the deal of Moe's on Ivy Road from Mike and Ashley Abrams to Derek Bond.
Yeah.
Derek Bond owns the Melting Pot as well. He owns Moe's on Ivy Road. You go to that location on Ivy, there's no front of the house staff. There's one person working the front of the house, and that person works the register, pours drinks, busses some tables, and greets people.
Yeah.
You go to the restaurant, the register, you place your order with that one person, and someone from the kitchen is ringing a bell and calling your name, and you're picking up the food at the window, and you're bringing it from the window, and you're sitting at your table, and then you're even taking the trash and the basket from your food, and you're bussing your table in a lot of ways yourself. Is that the locally owned locally owned model for restaurants now?
I wouldn't say that we're about to see that in every restaurant in Charlottesville.
Outside of fine dining, who's going to be able to afford to keep the staff?
I mean, we may see something similar, but
Look at Bodo's model. Bodo's crushes it, right?
yeah.
You figure 1,000 tickets a day. Let's just do conservative. We talk about this all the time. And we like to use the pun, that's a lot of dough. Bodo's uses dough, right? They make a lot of money, a lot of dough. There's 3 locations. Let's say each location does 1,000 tickets a day. That's $3,000. That's 3,000 tickets across all 3 locations. UVA Corner, Route 29, and Preston. Let's say they each do 1,000 tickets. That's conservative. 3,000 tickets a day. What do you think the average ticket price is for a Bodo's? Average cost per ticket.
I don't know, $10 to $15.
You think 10 or 15? I was going to say
honestly-
750. Do you think 750 is light, Todd?
I have no idea.
Jamie, we're hypothesizing.
I know. I don't even know the prices.
Carol, you don't know the prices of bagel sandwiches at Bodo's?
I haven't been to Bodo's in a few years. I don't know
You
what
haven't been? Okay.
their prices are currently at.
I didn't
mean,
realize you
what,
hadn't been to Bodo's in a few years.
If it's what, $4 for a bagel?
I'd say you get a Bodo's sandwich for under $5 easily.
I mean, I'd say that there are probably a lot of people stopping off there to pick up lunch for the office.
Yeah. Okay.
So $7 seems a little low for an average.
That's
I don't
fair.
know.
750 seems low. I agree with you. It seems low. I want to do a conservative projection here, but I agree with you. 750 seems low. Let's say the average ticket at Bodo's is $10. Carol, what do you think the average ticket is? John Blair, what do you think the average ticket is at Bodo's? Scott Aaronworth of Virginia Beach, what do you think is the average ticket? Why don't we just go $10? So 3,000 tickets a day, 1,000 per location, at an average of $10 a ticket. That's probably low. That's $30,000 in gross revenues per day for Bodo's. I'd say Bodo's is open how many days a year? 360? Let's say Bodo's closes for the 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter. That's 4 days closed. What other holidays am I missing that they would close? Easter, 4th of July, Christmas, and Thanksgiving.
I don't even know if they'd be closed Easter, but I could see it.
Let's just say, for the sake of a conservative business model projection, that they close a total of 7 days a year.
Yeah, I mean, just call it 360.
You want to say 5 days a year?
I mean, call it whatever. I think we're nitpicking.
I mean, that's how you build a business model. This is what business owners do. And figure out revenue projections. So 30,000, we'll call it 360 based on what Judah's saying. 30,000 times 360. They're doing $10,800,000 in gross revenues a year. And I think that's a light projection. 3,000 tickets a day, 1,000 per location, times $10 a ticket, that's light. I bet you they do more than 1,000 tickets a day. Times 360 days a year, $10,800,000. With no front of the house staff, really. They got no one taking your order at your table. All their staff is behind the line. They may have a staff member or two. They do have a staff member or two come out from behind the line, take out the trash, and clean up tables if they need to. But for the most part, if you look at Bodo's patrons are very thoughtful and are literally wiping the tables as they're leaving.
Yeah.
Bodo's has trained their staff to wipe the tables and to take the trash from the tables to the trash canisters by the door.
You mean train their
employees,
customers.
or their customers, their customers, to take their trash from the tables, wipe their tables down, and take their trash and throw it away.
Yeah.
If Bodo's can do it, why can't others do it?
Sure they could.
$10,800,000, a light conservative projection for Bodo's across 3 locations. That's a lot of dough.
Yeah.
And I would bet you that number's 2 or 3 million higher. Because I think we're light on the number of tickets they do per day. I think we're light on the average ticket per day, average total amount spent per ticket. And I think they only close, as Judah said, a couple of days. We said 360. They probably have an extra work day in there that we're not thinking of. That's a lot of dough. Carol said $10 a ticket, she would guess. Scott says Bodo's is overrated. Those are fighting words around Charlottesville, Scott. Judah's inclined to agree with you, evidently.
I'm disappointed that they don't toast.
Scott Aaronworth is also disappointed they don't toast their bagels.
Yeah.
It slows the process down. Why would they toast? It slows the process down. You can get in and out of Bodo's with the line wrapped outside the door on Preston, and you can get in and out there in less than 15 minutes when the line is wrapped outside. Jamie Turner says the most we will get from the restaurants of the future will be how they operate Jack Shop. How do they operate Jack Shop? Jamie Turner, I would love to learn. I've never been. In fact, I'm going to respond to your comment. How do they operate Jack Shop? Put it in the feed. I'll relay it live on air. Jamie Turner, the mayor of Culpeper. Kevin Yancey saying the furniture is not going to convey in that Penn Park listing, Judah. Did you read that the furniture conveys?
No, I didn't. I haven't read the listing. I just grabbed the pictures.
Okay.
So
He's saying the furniture is not conveyed. It's just staged.
Well, that's a shame. I mean, that changes things quite a bit.
I would imagine the furniture does not convey either, that it's just staged as well. Oftentimes, you're not going to have furniture conveying in deals like this.
Well, in that case, I think it's overpriced.
You think it's overpriced?
Seriously.
Vanessa Parkhill loves Bodo's. Customer service is why they should toast, Scott says. They don't have to toast.
No, they don't have to. I think it's a shame that they don't.
The line is out the door every day. I mean, you can make a legitimate argument. I've said multiple times on the show, the local restaurant brands, the local food brands that make the most money in Central Virginia are the Tiger Fuel markets. That's number 1. And Bodo's is number 2. Yes, Chick-fil-A beats Tiger Fuel. Yes, Chick-fil-A beats Bodo's. Starbucks certainly beats Tiger Fuel, and Starbucks is certainly beating Bodo's. I would imagine the McDonald's, because of their prolific nature, the fact that there are multiple units in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, whoever owns the territory for McDonald's is grossing more revenue than Bodo's and the markets at Tiger Fuel. But if you wanted a local brand, top grossing local brand in the area, it's Tiger Fuel 1, Bodo's 2. John Blair, we're going to get to your comments here in a matter of moments. In fact, why don't we go to John Blair? I love when John Blair leaves comments. He says, Jerry, you are also light on semi-catering as well. While I don't think they cater, they clearly have 10 to 15 orders per morning in which they are providing dozens of bagels with their fixings for large groups of people. What's that, $40 to $60 per large group? Yeah, he's exactly right. Why don't I do the model differently? Why don't I say this? There's 3 locations of Bodo's. Let's say they do 1,250 tickets a day, each location. 1,250 times 3 locations is 3,750 tickets per day at Bodo's. Let's take the average ticket price from $10 to $15. So 3,750 tickets per day times $15 per ticket. That's $56,250 in gross revenues per day. And let's continue with the 360 days a year. So 56,250 times 360 days. That's a gross of over $20 million. Mm-hmm. That's Bodo's $20,250,000 per year in gross revenues. That's a lot of dough. Bodo's is grossing over $20 million a year in that projection. And they don't toast their bagels. They don't really bust their tables. And all they're really doing from a front of the house staffing standpoint is taking out the trash. Think about that. I would hope this restaurant incubator that we talked about last week is encouraging the students within the incubator to model after Bodo's or Moe's. Because you can't get the staff to keep your restaurant alive in today's market. And we're already identifying, and you jump in here, I don't mean to cut you off. We're already identifying a phenomenon where the staff can't afford to live here. And that's going to worsen.
I think you're looking at the incubator as far too much of, in terms of everybody going in there opening their own restaurant. I think that's a far cry from what's going to happen.
I am looking at the incubator, and this was a topic from last week's show, strictly from the lens that it should not have been funded by meals tax revenue.
Yeah.
Revenue generated by restaurants should not fund an incubator that competes directly with them. I'm also looking at the incubator from the lens that it's going to further shorten or pinch the labor market tied to restaurants. It's going to, the incubator, any way you slice it or dice it, is headwinds for local open restaurants right now. You got to give me that.
Okay, I don't know what that has to do with what I said, but
well,
yeah,
you said I was looking at the restaurant incubator too much like it birthed in too many restaurants.
Well, the way you talk about it sounds like every person that goes in there is going to be trying to open their own restaurant, and I just think that's I don't think that's what's going to happen.
I think the folks that go into the incubator are looking to open either restaurants or some kind of food-oriented business. Why else would you go into a commercial kitchen incubator if you weren't going to open a food-oriented business? That could be catering. Yeah. That could be a restaurant. Could be a coffee shop. But it's going to be a food-oriented business.
Yeah.
In any food-oriented business that's birthed from this incubator, that's funded by meals tax revenue, is going to cause headwinds for current and active restaurants and their proprietors and owners.
Okay, so you've got a problem with people like the owner of A Squared?
Of who?
A Squared Pizza?
I don't have a problem with A Squared Pizza. Why would I have a problem with him?
Because that's the person that you're talking about.
A Squared Pizza's operating out of his house. He's not going to do the incubator. His A Squared Pizza is strictly a side hustle for him that gets him to 65-hour work week threshold. He works a full-time job. Andy Argaud does not have aspirations of opening a pizzeria.
And not all the people that go to the incubator have aspirations to open a full restaurant.
I agree. They could be opening a catering company. They could be opening a coffee shop.
Or they could be looking for a place to cook their pizzas rather than their home oven.
Yeah, 100%. And when those people do that, cook their pizzas to sell, those sales will be competition for Fabio's.
Just as A Squared is now.
Yeah. The businesses birthed from the incubator are going to be added competition for current restaurants. It's literally what I'm saying.
I know, and I agree that it's problematic the way that it's funded. But other than that, I still think it's a net good thing.
I mean, agree to disagree on this one. If I was in a point of consulting others, and you know we are, this is what we do. We have VMV Brands is an advertising agency. What do? We offer consultation to businesses, right? And we charge for our time. It's literally what we do. If I was in a role of consulting others, I would say, do not open a restaurant. Do not do this. I respect your hustle to be an entrepreneur. There are many examples of restaurants not working locally. We're about to talk about one. Angelique's and Dairy Market is closed. Finally, I just asked someone over the weekend. I've been at Dairy Market so many times, and TD watching this program, Trevor watching this program, put this on my radar first. He routinely listens to the show on podcast form. He said, every time I go into Dairy Market, Angelique's is closed. And then after he sends me this DM about this, I started going in there. I'm like, what the heck is going on? The stall is always closed. And then I finally asked somebody who works for Dairy Market. They have a handful of people who are cleaning Dairy Market and serving as a liaison for patrons at Dairy Market. And multiple of the team members said, yep, Angelique's is closed.
It's too bad.
It is too bad. You have someone in Angelique who is a businesswoman of talented proportions. She came from the hotel industry where she worked in customer service. After decades working for hotels, she decided to open Angelique's as a food truck, food trailer.
Yep.
That food trailer was often parked in the Cosner Brother parking lot across from Cosner Brothers Body Shop.
Yeah.
She had tremendous success with her soul food cuisine with her food trailer. Mm-hmm. So much so that success gave her the confidence to open a stall at Dairy Market. After, less than 2 years, the stall is closed? After years of experience in perfecting her craft with the trailer, the stall is closed. I mean, we can talk Chad Ragland Wild Wing Cafe. We can talk Lauren and Mitch at Prime 109. We can talk Downtown Grill. We can talk Daniel Kaufman, Pronto, the pasta place on the corner that closed. Yep. We can talk Bo Stockton at Michael's Bistro. We can talk Little John's. We can talk Stu Rifkin at College Inn. We can talk Junction, Melissa Close Heart, right? How many Hunter Smith's businesses have closed? I mean, I heard that he's still on the hook for Who's Brew, which is completely closed now, the coffee shop on High Street. I heard that he's still on the hook for $3,000 a month rent.
Ouch.
For a business that's not even operating. A personal guarantee on a lease, and he has 36 months left on it. $3,000 a month for a business that's not even operating. That's why he was trying to sell Who's Brew for $1, just to get off the $3,000 a month lease.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why someone, and I'm not trying to throw shade or dampen someone's entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, hell, you made the point last week, and I thought it was a good one. When you, Jerry, you said, try to launch a business 15 years ago, you walked into your condo, and what happened? Your parents were there, your girlfriend at the time, and a couple friends. And they said, don't do it. And I ignored them and did it anyway. And outside of marrying my wife, it proved to be the best decision I ever made. But they try to dampen my entrepreneurial spirit, right? So you're basically saying, how can you dampen someone's entrepreneurial spirit the same? That was the point you made. It was a fair one.
And I'm not only saying that, but I'm saying that how can you tell these people that they're wrong when the people that came before them weren't? The guy that started a restaurant or started a food business 4 years ago, was he somehow better than the people that are going to be eventually starting their own food businesses in the next year, the next 5 years?
And that's a very fair
point. About
point.
10 years from now.
That's a very fair point.
Should they all give up because we have enough good restaurants here?
That's a fair point. And I acknowledge the point you're making is applicable and fair.
Thank you.
My counter to that point that you're making is set yourself up for success when pursuing entrepreneurship. and it's already difficult enough. 80% of small businesses fail in their first 3 years. So one of the first steps to launching a business is choosing a space that's not saturated and crowded.
Yeah, and that's fair too.
I would like anyone who wants to get into business ownership to have success. When you're launching a business in the most crowded space of work, restaurants in Central Virginia, you are setting yourself up to have even longer odds of success. When I launched this business 15 years ago, it was as a digital advertising agency where there were not any digital advertising agencies on the market.
Yeah.
So I launched a company in a space of business that had zero competition.
Mm-hmm.
It was strategic. That's I guess one of the points I want to make here.
Yeah.
Olivia, the Queen of Keswick, Olivia Branch. I love Olivia Branch. She said it could be a kitchen supplies in the incubator. It could be a business that's birthed for kitchen supplies. She's pointing to the fact that it doesn't have to be restaurants that come out of this incubator like you have said.
Yeah.
It could be other types of businesses on the restaurant supply chain.
Yeah, and there are people that do pies, and and people, businesses like A Squared Pizza, and other small. There are several small bakeries that I believe work out of their homes, and I completely understand what you're saying. I'm with you with the funding being a problem.
That it's coming from meals tax revenue.
Yeah, and I'm with you for the fact that that if these, if all these people are going in there thinking they're going to open the next,
Citizen Burger Bar.
yeah, then
Citizen Burger Bar crushes it, by the way.
yeah, they're just gonna be shooting each other's feet. There's gonna be too many. But I think that a lot of these people are, I think this could be a good thing for the people that are just looking for a good space, rather than baking pies or cakes in your own oven and having limited space. You can use this to possibly expand your business.
I also, and I'm a fan of small government. I'm also wondering aloud what the legalities of, I don't even want to go down this road.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? I'm not going to go down. I don't want to
saying.
go down that road because I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Right. And I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I'm not going to go down that road. So let's not even go down that road because the guy's doing it to feed his family.
No, I mean, I thought you were...
He's making the pizzas to feed his family.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go down the road about the legality.
Right.
Carol Thorpe says, with casual dining, I don't mind busting my own plate, but I do mind not being able to order my food prepared the way I want. Bodo's is a no-go for me, she says.
That's fair.
I respect that. That is fair.
I do like a few things they make, but they would be so much better if I could get it toasted.
Kyle Miller says, the market decides what stays and what goes. There aren't that many people in Charlottesville. I mean, that's a great comment. Kyle Miller's an entrepreneur. He's a small business owner, and he's 100% right. The market's going to determine who fails and who succeeds.
Yeah.
But you, the visionary, you, the entrepreneur, you, the proprietor, can choose what line of work you want to invest your thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and your time and your sweat equity. And if you want to enter a space that's crowded and competitive, you're going to have a smaller chance of success than if you enter a space that is not crowded and competitive. So it's easy. It's as easy as that. Angelique's closing a dairy market. Do you wonder? I'm just wondering aloud. I'm wondering aloud here. Are the tenants, the stalls at Dairy Market, having the success they anticipated? I mean, now you see the headline in the Daily Progress about a shooting outside the Dairy Market on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Saturday night, 8:49 p.m., someone was shot outside the market. The Daily Progress initially on their website showed a photo of the dairy market when talking about this shooting. They have now changed that photo and put a Google map with the red arrow of where the shooting took place. Thank you for doing that, Daily Progress, because I don't think depicting the dairy market with a picture next to the headline, person injured in Saturday night shooting at 10th and Page, with your location next to it, I thought that did a disservice to the market. That was not fair to them. The shooting did not happen inside the market.
Yeah.
So to have the photo of the market with that headline did a disservice to the market. Thank you for replacing the photo, Daily Progress. Have you been to dairy market?
Yeah.
What do you make of it?
I like it. I've stopped there a few times, and it's got some great people. Obviously, big fan of Dino's. Lots of great places to eat. I mean, if it was easier to get to, I'd go there all the time.
It's great for kids. It's great for parents that have young kids. It has a variety of food vendors, which offers options for people. When you're in a group, options are nice.
It also there's also not the in restaurant dining that I think is more awkward for parents.
What do you mean?
Talking about parents with kids. Well, there's less problem with your kid like running around the food court or running around out on the patio.
You're talking the ambiance is more approachable.
Yeah,
it's more welcoming to kids
than it would be if you were sitting inside one restaurant where other people are trying to eat. This is more like it's got a more casual feel that I think is that I think works with kids. Running around trying different things.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's why we take our boys there. We're not embarrassed when our oldest is acting like a tornado in public. I ask this as a very fair and legitimate question. Are the vendors at Dairy Market making money? Dino's seems to be. He's expanded stalls. He's gone from the pizza and chicken stalls to the pasta stall as well. Star Hill seems to be making money. Granted, they have the benefit of selling beer.
Yeah.
Beer is a high-margin business.
Do they sell food?
Star Hill does not sell food, but they allow you to bring food in from other vendors.
Right.
The setup for Star Hill is amazing.
Yeah, well, anybody that's got their own beer and a tap would be doing great there.
Is Milkman doing well?
No idea.
I wonder if the Milkman is doing well at Dairy Market. I wonder.
I don't know.
Star Hill has also the benefit of having TVs in the brewery at Dairy Market, so it's essentially become a quasi-sports bar, especially when the University of Virginia is playing or there's a big-time ACC game.
And they occasionally have live music, I think.
I wonder if the inside stalls are actually making money. Take It Away Sandwich Shop, for example, often is closed before the market is closed. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure there's a caveat in the leases that the stalls have to stay open the entire time the market's closed. Because if you start going to Dairy Market and multiple vendors are closed, then it takes away some of the je ne sais quoi of the market. The whole concept is a food hall with multiple options.
Yeah. That being said, I think less options is probably better in terms of the individual places in there. Not like there should be less options in Dairy Market, but I think one of the reasons why Dino does so well is that he limits each of his spots is limited in scope. So I'm looking at Angelique's Kitchen, and it just seems like it would have to be really hard to make money and stay stocked up on all this stuff. I mean, You're saying her menu's too robust. She does fried fish. She does barbecue.
That's a good point, Judah.
Pulled pork and ribs.
Good point.
She does crispy wings and chicken tenders. She does fried shrimp and crab cake sandwiches. She does fried chicken.
She was doing breakfast for a little while. It's a great point from Judah right there.
It seems like the overhead on keeping all of that stocked so you can do any of it has to be harder on you than keeping enough on. I mean,
Let's give you some props.
Dino's got to keep stock of chicken wings, right? Then he's got to keep stock of
Well, now he's got the pasta piece too.
Well, yeah, but the pasta is what, like 3 different kinds of. I mean, I love the quick pasta model because I used to go to a place in Maine, in Portland, in Old Port, that was just like that, and it's just like you're talking about with a very simple. Doesn't require a lot of workers. Doesn't require people going out and taking orders. You just have someone behind the line. You've got pre-portioned. You've got pre-portioned pastas. Whether it's you've probably got like 3 or 4 or 5 different types of pastas. So spaghetti, linguine. Some.
It's an efficient model. The overhead is limited. Like
you just dump a bag into a little basically like a sieve, drop it into the hot water. It's cooked in like 2 or 3 minutes, and then you just need like 2 or 3 sauces and 2 or 3 different kinds of like meats or vegetables to toss on top, and you can have somebody's order ready in probably 5 minutes.
It's like the Bodo's model. You know who does this extremely?
Exactly.
You know who does this extremely well, guys? Is Jack Brown's. Curtis Shaver taught me this. Curtis, are you watching? My buddy Curtis Shaver, restaurant business. I love when he watches the show. He's a smart guy. I've learned a lot from Curtis. And Curtis Shaver, the extremely talented chef, taught me this. He goes, you look at Jack Brown's, and they got one person on the front of the house and one person on the back of the house. He says the plates the burgers are served on are paper plates, so they're thrown away.
Yeah.
The only real washing of dishes they're doing are the glasses for beer, draft pint glasses.
Yeah.
They have no lettuce and tomato on the burgers that can spoil or go to waste.
Yeah. And they have a lot of specials, but they do them one day a week.
And they have a very limited menu at Jack Brown's. It's only a few things done well.
Yeah.
It's a few things done well that can be turned quickly with not a lot of waste or spoilage.
Yeah.
Or shrinkage. Paper plates thrown away, no pressure to wash dishes, no lettuce, tomato that can spoil or go bad. The menu is extremely limited, and they can be turned around very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the future?
Yeah.
I hope that's taught in the restaurant incubator. Strip your menu down to a handful of things that you do really well and consider a pickup window and encourage your customers to bus. If I was running the incubator, I would use Jack Brown's, Bodo's, and Moe's. Heck, Moe's could be Ivy Provisions too. Ivy Provisions has got the pickup window. That's the model that I would utilize.
Yeah.
That's the model. And I want the other ones that are staff heavy to survive. Like Scott Airworth is talking about Daniel Kaufman just opening Black Cow Chop House. That's now open. The reviews have been amazing. People are singing the praises of Black Cow Chop House on West Main Street. Daniel Kaufman said, we will be the last restaurant left standing in this location because there's been a lot of turnover at that location. Little Star, Zinc, The Station, Three Penny Cafe, all before Black Cow Chop House. Daniel Kaufman has already made a proclamation, we will be the last one standing in this spot, and I wish him the best of luck. It's a staff-heavy model. You look at the menu, you have a boatload of options. Chops, pork chops, steak, various cuts of meat, seafood, a boatload of wine, a boatload of cocktails, staff-heavy model. You're going to drop $100 to $125 a head probably if you go there. If you get an entree, 2 drinks, and either an appetizer or dessert. And it's got some a la carte tendencies like we saw from Downtown Grill or like we see from a lot of steakhouses where you get the cut of meat, and if you want some additional sides, you're paying for them. It's a staff-heavy model. I wish him the best of luck. He knows I love him. Daniel Kaufman knows I love him. I give him a lot of pro bono love because what he does is good. But it's a staff-heavy model.
I mean, you're never gonna have a steakhouse run like a Bodo's.
Of course not. And that's the counter right there. If you want the fine dining steakhouse, this is what you need.
Yeah.
And people are just going to have to understand they're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be $125 a head. Hey, Curtis is watching. What's up, Sea Shaver? Juan Sarmiento says South and Central is doing well. Is South and Central doing well? Do we know for a fact South and Central is doing well? South and Central at night has turned into a nightclub where they have DJs and live music. Sunday mornings for brunch, they're doing drag brunch at South and Central. So they're trying a lot of creative and new ideas to get people staying sticky at the location. Can it just survive as a steakhouse, South and Central? Or is it having to get innovative and creative with the drag brunch and turning into a nightclub on Friday and Saturday nights? Fair question, right?
Yeah.
Do steakhouses in Manhattan have to do drag brunches on Sunday morning and turn their restaurant dining room into nightclubs after dinner service?
In the last two years,
Does the Aberdeen Barn have to do drag brunches on Sunday mornings and take their dining rooms on Friday and Saturday nights and turn them into nightclubs? I'm not seeing Angela do that at the Aberdeen Barn. Are they doing well? It's a fair question. Just asking it. And I wonder in totality how the vendors in totality are doing there. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell. Because oftentimes, Rudy Giuliani said this when he was the mayor of Manhattan. I'm going to clean up the broken windows because broken windows breed more broken windows.
Yeah.
One stall closed at the market. Let's see if it breeds other ones. I'm seeing Take It Away with limited hours, and I'm seeing Be Conscious Bakery with limited hours at Dairy Market.
Are they allowed to do limited hours?
I don't think technically by the lease they're allowed to do it. I don't think technically by the lease they're allowed to do it. I'd be willing to bet you $100 the lease says you have to be open from this time to this time, no matter if you have customers or not. Because the last thing the owners in the market want is for customers to go in there and for stalls to be closed. Because that's when people don't come back. It's the effect that you had on the downtown mall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. If you go expecting something and you find it's not there, then it's you once bitten, twice shy. The next time you think about going back there, you're like, maybe I'll just go somewhere that I know is open.
John Plecker watching the program. I believe this is John Plecker's first comment on the show. He says, how well is the place that took Parallel 38 doing? They used to be on 29. He's talking about Guajiros. Guajiros is banging. Guajiros is not open for dinner service, only breakfast and lunch. But from all accounts, Guajiros is doing really well. The fellas that own Guajiros, their brothers, they run it with their family. They do not want to open for dinner service because the brothers in the family are legitimately working every shift.
Yeah.
Breakfast and lunch. And they don't want to work anymore. They're already working too hard.
Their brunch is off the hook.
Their brunch is amazing. Guajiros is one of the best restaurants in Charlottesville. The Cuban sandwich is out of this world good. And their brunch, like you said, is absolutely amazing. My wife loves Guajiros.
And it was the same thing. It was those, it wasn't paper bowls, but they were, those kind of like, I don't even know how you describe it. Thick paper-like bowls that don't require someone spending an hour in the
washing dishes
at the end of the day.
I'm responding to him right now. Guajiros is amazing.
Yeah.
You should try it. Thank you for watching the show today, John Plecker. All right, a couple of items out of the notebook we need to get to today. City Council picks tomorrow who's going to replace Sina McGill. I had a very pleasant and friendly conversation with Sina McGill's husband, Tyler, on Twitter. I would encourage everyone to check that out. Thank you, Tyler, for making our day yesterday afternoon. My bet is City Council is going to pick either Kristen Zakos or Kathy Galvin. Why they pick Kristen Zakos or Kathy Galvin is because they've already been on council, and neither Zakos nor Galvin wants to run for re-election.
Right.
So it's not like Lloyd Snook and Michael Payne will be picking their competition in the race this fall.
Yeah.
And I think there is some value for Zakos or Galvin getting picked because they already have the institutional memory of being on council. If I had my druthers, I'd take Kathy Galvin because she's an architect and she understands housing better than most.
Yeah.
Ann Malik is running for a 5th term. John Blair left this comment, which I thought it was a very good one, on Facebook. He says, JM, Jerry, us, interestingly, Virginia is the only state in the nation that does not allow a governor to run for re-election in consecutive terms. It's a great point, and it's very interesting. Youngkin cannot run for another term, but Ann Malik could stay in the Whitehall district for 20 straight years.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not knocking Supervisor Malik. Supervisor Malik, tremendous respect for you. This is not a knock on you. Supervisor Malik, I don't agree with your politics all the time, but I respect you tremendously as a person and as a politician. The fact that you are going to end up serving this community for 20 years shows your love and your commitment to Albemarle. I mean, she's not doing this to get wealthy.
Right.
But the point is, 20 years for the same person and the same seat is a long-ass time. It's a long time. Bila Pisto currently is running for re-election in the Ravenna district. And what do you make of this shooting on 10th Street? The shootings are happening at such a prolific clip that I think we may have gun violence fatigue. And that's so sad. Apathy has set in with gun violence in this community because it's so prolific. I heard through the grapevine from multiple people that the police chief, the new chief, Michael Kachis, lives in the 10th and Page neighborhood. So I love that the police chief is living in the city.
Yeah.
Chief Brackney lived in Albemarle County. She did not live in the city. I thought that was a travesty, that you're the police chief of a city and you live in the neighboring county for quality of life.
I think travesty is a little bit strong.
All right, how about
A shame.
a shame? How about hypocrisy? How about disappointing?
I'd have to know more about the situation to,
Odd, curious? You give me odd or curious?
Sure.
That Brackney lived in Albemarle County?
Yeah.
Give me that.
Yeah.
Kachis lives in 10th and Page, putting his money where his mouth is. I mean, 10th and Page, very much a gentrifying community.
Yeah.
I think we're at apathy when it comes to shooting and gun violence around here. Or now we're chalking it up, oh, just another shooting.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I don't think people are. I think a lot of people are still, are still worried and are still taking every announcement of a new case of gun violence or hearing guns go off in their neighborhoods as troubling developments.
Okay, how about this question? What's more troubling to you here with this 10th and Page shooting? Is it more troubling to you that the shooting happened or that the shooting happened right outside Dairy Market? You got a boatload of families at Dairy Market. And this happened at 8:49 p.m. on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I can assure you that there were, I was about to use a profanity, that there's a boatload of children in Dairy Market at 8:49 on Saturday night. Is it
No
more
doubt.
concerning that the shooting happened or the location it happened? Not to marginalize the shooting by any means.
No, not to marginalize it, but I would agree that it's more troubling that it happened outside of Dairy Market.
An epicenter of family.
Yeah.
I mean, an epicenter of family here.
I mean, it would be just as troubling if it had taken place in, say, Stonefield.
Does Dairy Market jump on this from a PR standpoint and employ, at a cost out of their own pocket, security seen around the market to create a sense of safety or the perception of safety?
Yeah, I would. I would consider it if I was in charge. I'd consider it for
Short period of time.
a couple days a week, maybe
the weekends.
2 or 3 hours. During the most
High traffic times.
yeah just to give people a sense of security.
Yeah, perception. I'd like to see that from Dairy Market. Short period of time, get some security, some boots on the street, hired security.
But we've also talked about this in regards to Belmont, and we haven't seen a repeat of what happened there. Sadly, what is it? Fifeville has seen a little more action than some of the other areas.
Oftentimes where the gun violence is.
But
Generally not in downtown Belmont.
right, and so I think it may be a little. I think it may be a little too soon to say, well, so and so should be hiring security guards, even for just like 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, because it does seem more random. And I don't know. I'm sure that
Carol said it best. We've gone from outrage with the shooting, outrage, to troubling. She then says, soon it's going to be commonplace. That's the apathy. Is apathy setting in with gun violence in this community? And how sad is that statement right there? That statement is so sad to say out loud.
I find it hard to believe that we're ever going to be apathetic about gun
we
violence
hope to God.
in Charlottesville. I think just because we don't show outrage every time we hear of a shooting or gunshots going off doesn't mean that we're not taking them seriously. And I know that our police force and Police Chief Kochis feel the same way. I don't think they're sitting on their laurels because these things are getting more commonplace. And hopefully with the passage of a few months, we'll see a lot more crackdowns, a lot more work being done, and I'm confident that we'll hear the number of shootings and guns going off diminishing.
Perfect way to close the show. Well done by Judah Wickhauer. My hope is the same. I hope it turns out that way, my friend. Well said. Very succinct and to the point. Perfect way to close. Judah Wickhauer, not only the director, but a key and critical part of the show. Job well done. The Monday edition of the program, we entertain, we enlighten, and we educated. That's what we try to do every time we do the program, right? Entertain, enlighten, and educate. Yeah. Judah Wickhauer, Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille show, presented by the Clifton. See you tomorrow for another edition of the program. Take care, everybody. Good job, Judah.
Thank you.